Hello, my name is Rick, and this video will be covering matinees. You've likely seen these, you've likely stepped away because they're mad confusing. I used to think all the same. Lost words. We'll be covering them in a slightly different way. You could, at least in the topic of, we'll be covering them, and at least on topic of, should you just copy them over from a map level like Ragnarok or any of the other official maps? Or doing what we'll be covering in this tutorial, which I previously made a tutorial, but I over-explained myself, so we'll just sort of redo our work and then go back and show what we did. Make it day, no eternal darkness. So, what I previously covered in that tutorial, over-explained long tutorial that I'll leave a link to down below, is, and these matinees that you can copy, you have usually copied or priority existing your level. Let's search these out. Matinee, day cycle. They'll have this issue, which I'll show here in a second. They'll have the MatineeData as non-existent. Go to the content browser, they're in invisible assets department. Some might call this native code, but I would say it's just Unreal generated and you can't find it. It just exists and you're part of the mod and that's it. But to continue showing off this tutorial, we have to create two assets. Didn't account for getting rebuilding class hierarchy out of the way prior to recording. Alright, if I were to have not sped that up or edited that out, that took a solid minute, if not minute and a half. So we will be, once again, creating two assets. One, a blueprint, which will be the parent class of, if you are new to Unreal, let's start this process over again after class hierarchy has rebuilt. You right click in whichever folder you're in, blueprint. You could typically select actor, but in this case, you'll be typing in into the class search filter, the native class search filter, MatineeActor, which originally I had confused this as being the sole way of creating the MatineeData type. So we will go ahead and name this BP underscore matinee daytime. Save this. I originally explained this as being slightly better than just having your matinees over here because first we'll have to go ahead and delete this. But before we do, once again, I'll go and showcase why this is important. I've already shown it's an invisible or native class that just can't see. As I mentioned, user Unreal generated. But here we have our interp data. Yep, not visible. This is our matinee currently, and it is currently encompassing or adjusting the day cycle, the day interpolation container, and the sky sphere. Now what happens when we go back to our daytime in the scene outliner, change this to one of the many ones that exist in the dev kit already from DLCs. I would like to say from other mod maps, but that is not the case, I don't believe. Let's just change it to the bog day cycle one. Just making sure our matinee was closed. And let's check our matinee now. Oh. What on earth happened to our day cycle, our data interpolation container, and our sky sphere? As you see, these matinee datas change. I cannot do it. Change the matinee container as to what it's adjusting, for lack of possible better terms. So let's go ahead and delete this. Yes, we want to delete that as a reference to our level blueprint. We'll go back over and go back to our tutorial folder. We have created our MatineeActor already. Now we need to proceed and continue our MatineeData, which we found out is under miscellaneous. We will call this one Matinee Day Time. Somehow I feel like I named that incorrectly. I would maybe go ahead and in your folder and subtitle it with your project files. That way it doesn't get confused. Unreal file system. So over here we have no matinee daytime. In fact, I don't even see a. Oh, there it is. We'll go for just quick tutorial purposes. We'll drag out, which we found out to be the correct way. You could drag out this one, which works, matinee daytime, or you can drag out the blueprint, zero the location, red over there, drag in our matinee data, and this we mentioned. I'll have to open both of these. I originally compared this to the Ragnarok one, but we'll see. It isn't that you need to go by and doing them down to the T per default options, but if you're replicating a previous matinee, why not just go ahead and set the same settings? That way there's no differences. Check marked and 00.34. All check marks besides the last two. Manager priority. I believe that was checked. Yep, that one and the next one is checked. And I believe that is it. So originally I explained this gives you more options, whatever those options may look like. Component, likely not something you should need to do. Graphing, whatever that ends up looking like for your project and what you might need. But over back in the matinee, now we have our BP matinee daytime. And let me bring up my Ragnarok reference. Here, I'll show a cut down version of what we explained before. So the first option contains our daytime, well, day cycle, excuse me. Select the asset you want to add. This goes for both the matinee. You'll be selecting a new, let's do that over again. A new empty group. Let's name it master day cycle. But that was just one line. And now you can see that that asset has now been created as a folder. Might not be visible now, but that is what it will end up looking like once you add more actors to modify your matinee. Let's say for some reason, can I rename it? Copy. Let's say for some reason you just created a new empty group without having anything selected and you want to add an actor to modify, new empty group, master date cycle. Oh, we don't have anything. How do we add this? It's an empty folder. Select asset you want to add. Actors. Add selected actors or replace actors with group. Replace actor with selected actor and world and scene. Let's see an outline, if not the world. Now to show the different ways about adding tracks float property, which is the most common one, along with others I demonstrated before. To do this fresh, brand new, if you wanted to add your own custom variable with your own custom variable float property track that is not already part of one of the pre-made options, like in the day cycle manager, let's show you how we can add a custom value here. A custom variable, excuse me. New float track. As mentioned, this will be a float. And then my mind went very typo or selected the right version but didn't read the right version. You'll be selecting exposed to Matinee. Let's compile and save. Alrighty. Now let's add a new float property track. And our new float track is now existing, because in Unreal terms, as it is mentioned, it is exposed to the Matinee. Alright, let's close this out. Untick exposed to Matinee. And just another tidbit, might have already had it open. There's a function Matinee receive Matinee updated. Let's show that as it would be for you. It should, once you type up Matinee, it should just look like this as one of the inherited actor functions, or day cycle actor functions, implement function, and it should do this. I found this in my sense of what I was doing. Oh, I have it open already. I just had a preview Matinee. It might work for other reasons, but in my preview Matinee, I could not get the Matinee to update things unless it was here. There might be other reasons that when you add a float, a boolean, or a number of other variable tracks, it does not actually update, and I had to add it here for it to update in a preview Matinee, not a pie gameplay, test gameplay Matinee that executes day or weather. So that is just my finding. It might be different for you, but there's a tip. Alright, let's once again save and compile the day cycle manager. And we will proceed to adding a couple of tracks just for the day cycle, just to keep this tutorial short and comprehensive and not overly explained. So what it was our first current time. Okay. Select this little square to add timeline visibility or float property track visibility. The first option I believe was 127 out of 100. 127, so you will come down here to your scroll line, your timeline scroll line, adjust it. Let us add another float property track just for demonstration purposes. The next one is base temperature. Okay, so in this sense, you want to select which variable you want to add a new key event for. It was 127, which, let's go there. Let's set here. I'll just be doing it roughly, just to speed up on time. That value is 100 on a Ragnarok reference. I believe I had to adjust the window slightly to get, oh no, it's just not showing. For some reason it bugs out. There you go. Let us just see base temperature and nothing else. Stay in current time. Go to our next key event. 229 at 50. Value 50. Let me go back to my reference, which on Ragnarok, this time is expanded to 10. Sorry if I'm making this a little hard to read. If you're confused, you just go about this by clicking the little red triangle. Let me pan over my window again. And on Ragnarok, it is just past 10, if not a little bit 11. We got a red bar right there. Let me double check something. This is something I noticed on Ragnarok. It may be worth adjusting. It's not adjusted on their end. I don't know if I actually FX anything, but this is originally set at 1. The little green triangle, so I would assume it's probably just best to set this to the same extent as the other limit is set at. Now let's continue by adding. And once again, I have no clue why my current time is not visible into the events. Let's close our matinee daytime. Not visible, okay. High current time. That's not the case. I believe what it was is the value is just way up higher. Yes, that is a case. So let's go back to my Ragnarok reference. We on the third key event, 375 at 30. No track is selected. My mistake. Set the time. Oh, set the time at 375. 30. The next key event is 475. 23. Seven 5 at 23, I believe I said. Next one will be 562 at 21. Bobbed up 62 at 21. Next one will be 628 at 23. Will be 7.46 at 30. 7.46 at 30, I believe I said. Value of 30. 8.60 at 50. Value of 50. Let me double check my answer. And 46 at 100. That was ridiculously close to be zoomed out that far. I explained this before in my original tutorial. I have no clue why my original float track was so far off from the Ragnarok one, but this one looks a little bit more accurate. We will skip a base temperature for now and just add the way Ragnarok is set up is a new soundtrack, but it has nothing set for it. Originally Unreal 1 C2, as I'll show. It'll complain, hey, I have no sound cue, sound asset type. Now let us delete this. Go to sound. No, without. Select the wind tree sound. Go back and add a sound track. Add an event. And there we have it working, but that is not how it is set up, so not select. New soundtrack. This should be the same for any other actor type that Matinee's adjusting, just new float property track. In most cases, it should be a float property track. It may be a material parameter track, which Matinees are they're pretty great dynamic tools. You can adjust materials on static meshes in the world and so on. We could probably cover that in a different tutorial later on. But for that, I will be, yes, deleting our work because I have done this before. And just to have a shorter, faster tutorial. Delete our BP Matinee daytime. Just for us, not for yourself. You should continue going along if you have decided to make your Matinees from scratch so that you can salvage them possibly later, at a later period. So BP Matinee daytime. 0 location. There's nothing in our Matinee daytime because now there's nothing in our Matinee data. Add our Matinee data that we've previously worked on. And well, would you look at that? Everything with nice and proper key events that honestly might be incorrect is all there. Now let's go back to our level blueprint. This is I will be able, let me restart. This is a set of project files I'll drop in a Google Drive down below containing this cleaned up level blueprint if you so like it. Go here. My eyes, set up daytime. I mentioned this in the longer video, but the reason I use macros is because in certain functions, well, it just looked a whole lot better with numerous execution pins. And in other cases, like upcoming weather, you can add a delay, which you can't do in normal functions. Alright, let's go here. BP Matinee Daytime. You can do this two of which ways. You can either drag it over, delete that, or have it selected in your viewport, your scene outliner, add a reference, and I'll show you a quick tip and trick. Just drag it over, and I'll demonstrate that again. You do this or execute this by holding Control left click. Boom, done. Kind of really nice if you have a variable leading to 10 different pins or targets. Compile. Close our level blueprint. Okay, so everything did not get linked here. Let's cover that real quickly. Day cycle. Actors, replace group with selected actors. Interpolation, Matinee value interpolation actor. Replace. Sky. Sphere. And now this should be working. Day. Nighttime. Daytime. And there's one other thing I wanted to cover that I somewhat half missed prior. Let's go back to our event graph. Let's say this got deleted somehow. Oops, let me just do the day cycle manager. How would I go about adding that event? Search our day cycle manager, right click, add event on Matinee updated, and drag this back. And reconnect it. And the other one I wanted to show is, let's just do electrical storm or heat wave. Is that one connected? Heat wave, superheat. Alright, that somehow got deleted. We were never able to copy paste it, which I believe it may not be copy pastable. Can't completely remember. Oh no, how do we heat wave? How do we Matinee? Where do we do this? Do we just drag it over? No. So the way you do this is you have your Matinee selected, right click, add Matinee controller for Matinee weather heat wave, and reconnect it. And one other thing I did want to cover. There might be other such things you can't see, such as add a new event track. The way you go about doing this one is go to where you want your event to start. Start event. Let's go to the end. And close this out. And now, as you have seen, a couple execution pins have appeared on our Matinee. And let's say set viz ability. For some reason, let's just say we wanted to execute this code. We could. Why you would do that? No clue. But it's an option. And something you might be wondering how one of the developers got these to show up. Let me go back and delete that. Oh, not daytime, it's the heat wave. Event, delete. close, and that is back to how it was. Close. Alright, this has been a tutorial on Matinees. I hope you enjoyed this. I hope you gained some knowledge from it. Thank you for watching. Goodbye.